to have you tonight. I'd like to welcome you to the Newman City Council meeting, the regular meeting of April 12, 2016. If everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you remain standing as we pray? Most gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We thank you for the blessings of the day. Bless this council as we conduct the business of this community tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Candia.
Here.
Councilmember Day.
Here.
Mayor Martina.
Present. Okay, declaration of conflict of interest? Being none? Okay. Tonight we have two ceremonial matters. The first one is a proclamation. This is Library Week, and we can go to the podium over here, Deborah, and
Okay.
anyway,
All right.
do you want the proclamation first, or would you rather?
Oh, I'll take that, and then I can chat for a couple
Okay.
minutes, and I'll be gone.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the proclamation of the mayor of the city of Newman. Whereas reading, literacy, and freedom to explore are cornerstones of free and democracy society, and whereas libraries support democracy and affect social changes through the commitment to providing equitable access to information for all libraries users regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, or socio-economic status. And whereas literacy is key to achieving personal success in business and life. And whereas librarians open a world of possibility through innovative programming and the power of reading. And whereas librarians are trained, tech-savvy professionals providing access to technology and technical training. And whereas libraries offer 24/7 access to library service online, such as e-books, e-magazines, downloadable audiobooks, music, movies, online language instruction, and a research database. And whereas libraries partner and parents are caregivers to empower children to enter kindergarten with the knowledge and skills necessary for success in school and beyond. Whereas libraries continually grow and evolve in how they provide the needs of every member of their community. And whereas librarians, library staff, and supporters in Stanislaus County are celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore, I, Bob Martina, Mayor of the great city of Newman, do hereby proclaim April 10th through the 16th, 2016 as National Library Week in the city of Newman, and urge everyone to visit libraries and to take advantage of the wonderful resources they provide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Martina. This will be up in our library for anyone that wants to come by and see it and visit us, and council, staff, and audience. My name's Debbie Allen. I've been in the Newman Library for a long time. Those of you who've been you go in there know that. My branch manager was conducting an evening program, so I'm here in her place, and I'm a library assistant there. I just wanted to cover a couple things that were going on at the library this month. On Thursday, we're having Lego Day, where your children are invited to come in, and we provide the Legos they build, and then our buildings are on display for a month in our display case. We're also on, and that's at 3:30. On next Tuesday, we're going to have a craft for kids, could be adults too. It's at 6 p.m. and it's going to be, we're going to craft a snail out of an orange, and then they get to eat it. So should be interesting. Also on Saturday the 23rd from 1 to 3 we're having DIA Day, and it's a day to celebrate children and multicultural cultures and books. So we'll be having a story time and all sorts of events at the library. We even have some people coming to give out information, so please come by and check it out, see what's going on. We'll also have a teen craft where they can decorate a Sharpie mug, and that's on April 26th at 6 o'clock. And then we also have a Friends of the Library group, which is a group that supports the library. They earn money, usually through a book sale, to support the library. If we're short on things, they fill it in for us. They do craft. They give us crafts. They give us books. They give us performers. They do a lot of good. So they're having a meeting, and they are looking for members. So it's on the 26th, April 26th at 4 p. April 28th at 4 p.m. These free programs are brought to you through the 1/8 cent dedicated sales tax that supports the library. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you all in the library soon. I'm going to leave some calendars back by Dean there, and you can pick them up if you want to actually see what I was talking about. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm sure most of you have gone to our library. If you haven't, it's an enjoyable experience. It's a small library, very friendly, and they offer a lot of good service to the people. So go in and check out a book and talk to the librarian. I think it'd be a very nice day if you do, because they really do put their hearts and souls into what they do. Okay, the next item is another ceremonial matter, is a presentation by Stan Cog regarding the South County Corridor final feasibility study. And, oh, I'm sorry. Michael, I'm not sure, I didn't get your name, sir. I'm sorry.
Keith Rhodes. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Keith
welcome,
Rhodes.
welcome to Newman.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Is there?
Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead. Is there a slide? I sent a slideshow,
So,
a PowerPoint.
yeah, it's already built into the presentation. You just use the arrow keys.
Ah, there we go. Wonderful. Again, good evening, everyone, to the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity. My name's Keith Rhodes. I'm the project manager with TYLN International. We were hired by the Stanislaus Council of Governments to perform a feasibility study for the South County Corridor alignment. I have also present here today is Elizabeth Hahn, who's representing StanCog here as well. So I have about a 10-minute presentation to sort of brief you on the status of this feasibility study. This is in draft form, so we're here just for information only and to get your questions and comments on the study. This presentation has about 4 different segments. I would like to talk about the project study area, and then to talk about the community involvement on the project. And the bulk of this presentation will be based upon the alternative analysis that took place, and then we'll finalize the presentation with talking about the recommendations from the feasibility study. With that said, here's the project study area. I know that you can't quite see the details of this map, but let me just try to describe verbally the project study area. It extends basically from the city of Turlock, or Highway 99 and I-5 in the southern portion of the county. The whole purpose of the project is to try and determine whether or not it's feasible to develop a alternative alignment for a southern route, a 4-lane facility that would connect I-5 to Highway 99 because there isn't currently a sufficient route to connect these two major corridors. There is an existing South County corridor alignment that's identified in red there. The existing South County corridor alignment, if I will begin at Turlock, utilizes Main Street going west towards I-5 crosses the San Joaquin River, where South Main or West Main connects to Los Palmas Road. Los Palmas Road then connects to Highway 30, State Route 33, and then runs south about a few hundred feet, and then connects to Sperry Avenue, and then travels again west, and then terminates at the existing Sperry Avenue interchange at I-5. So that's the existing South County corridor alignment. The purpose of this project is to obviously create some safety issues. There's some safety issues, especially within the city of Patterson limits. There's a lot of truck traffic that utilizes this route, and a lot of traffic signals. So we want to see if it's feasible to create an alternative that either bypasses the city of Patterson to the north or bypasses the city of Patterson to the south. That would create a more of an efficient route. There's quite a few stakeholders for this project. Obviously, Stancog, who is the lead agency for this project, but we also have the city of Newman is a stakeholder, city of Patterson, the city of Turlock, and Stanislaus County. And they were all actively involved in the development of this particular study. There was quite a bit of community involvement on this project. There were a total of 9 public workshops. 3 public workshops were held in each of the 3 major cities that are affected by this project, Newman, Patterson, and Turlock. There was also additional presentations to the various Rotary clubs and Lions clubs, Chamber of Commerce, and Farmers Bureau. But as a result of the stakeholders' involvement on this project and our project development team, as well as input from the public, we had 96 alternatives that were generated as a result of this study initially. That's quite a bit of input that we received. We did not anticipate such a active participation with the public, but we used online services as well, so the public had an opportunity to go online to a website, draw alignments and whatnot, or critique other alignments or whatnot. And so we tried to incorporate all of those ideas. We did not throw away any ideas. All ideas were accepted into this feasibility study, and as a result, 96 alternatives were resulted from that. Here's a map of trying to show you these 96 alternatives. There were quite a bit of the alternatives that had several commonalities in terms of roads and whatnot. So we decided to develop these alternatives by developing segments. Each alignment was developed with certain segments, and there were 30 some odd segments that we developed for this project. But what we're showing here is that alternatives range from as far north as Keys Road and as far south as Fink Road, even to near the border of the Stanislaus County border and Merced County, utilizing August Road. I mean, we had a good spread of different alternatives that resulted from this study. But this is just a map kind of showing you the areas and the types of alignments that were studied. But again, 31 different alignments. 96 different alignments. Here we just broke up each of the various road segments and there's 31 segments, and that's what I'm trying to show here. I do not expect you to be able to read that, but just to kind of give you an idea of what we were looking at to try and analyze these alternatives. And here is just a sample of of how we arranged the alignments. This is just showing you the first 19 alignments, and just showing that each alignment is a compilation of the various segments that were developed for the project. So as a result of these 96 alternatives, we developed a 2-tiered screening process, a level 1 and a level 2 screening. The first level screening was to try and evaluate these 96 so that we could have something more manageable in that second level screening. We used the purpose and need that was developed for the project. The purpose and need of the project basically establishes the vision for the project, so we wanted to make sure that each alternative, how it compared to that vision. If it did not satisfy the vision, it got eliminated. And we also looked at constructability issues and operational feasibility of those 96. And as a result of this first screening, we were able to narrow down the 96 alternatives to 18. And therefore, we went into a more detailed analysis for those 18 in the level 2 screening. The level 2 screening was based upon 9 different criteria that are identified here. We looked at, these 9 criteria was vetted by the stakeholders, my project team, as well as the public. And as a result of these 9 criteria, we also looked at weighting, and weighting by means of weighting, I'm talking about the weight of importance of each criteria relative to the other. And as you can see here, the top 3 that was considered to be the most important, again, vetted by the public and also the project stakeholders, is that safety was number 1 at 26%, and then cost effectiveness and connectivity were the top 3 most important criteria that they wanted to use to evaluate each of these alternatives. However, we did look at goods movement, local or regional investments, environmental issues, general plans, air quality and noise, as well as people movement. So that was the criteria that we used to basically score or evaluate these 18 alternatives. What I'm showing here is, again, just showing you once again what the criteria was, the weight associated with that criteria, but also to show you the performance measure, meaning we had to at least come up with some kind of quantitative way of measuring each of the criteria, so that we stray away from the qualitative approach to more of a quantitative approach, so that it's more defendable. So we looked at a variety of different things, such as the number of road connections, the origin, destination of the traveling public, the amount of average daily traffic within the area. So we looked at quite a few different performance measures. We looked at the number of schools or homes within a 50-foot buffer on each side of the alignment to try and determine air and noise quality impacts, things of that nature. And we also looked at, again, environmental type issues. And we also looked at cost. We didn't look at cost by itself. And the reason why we didn't do that is because if you have a project that's expensive, you don't want to throw it away because it may perform the best. Or you may have a project that is the least expensive but doesn't perform very well. So we wanted to develop what is known as cost effectiveness, where we took the performance of each alternative and compared it to its cost, and that's how we were able to at least balance that issue with a cost as well as performance. So as a result of the level 2 screening, we came up with, or we looked at the top 10 alignments. There were 6 that bypassed the city of Newman, 6 that bypassed the city of Patterson to the north, and we had 4 southern alignments that bypassed the city of Patterson to the south. The cost estimate ranged from $278 million to $215 million, and that just includes construction and right-of-way costs. So it doesn't include the cost associated with the design and the environmental cost that comes along with that. So just construction and the estimated right-of-way. So our recommendations from those top 10 through presenting those top 10 to the public, we got their input and we took it to the stakeholders, we got their input, and as a result, here are the 3 alternatives in which we are recommending for advancement into a further study, which is known as a project study report. And those 3 alternatives are 4D, 7A, and 12H. Here's a pictorial of all 3 of these alignments. Here's 4D. 4D, if we start from the city of Turlock, utilizes West Main Street, runs west till you get just to the east of the San Joaquin River, right at Jetting Street, where it will begin to veer north and create a brand new river crossing over San Joaquin River and run parallel to Eucalyptus Road, connects to Zacharias Road, and then you have a new connection to I-5 just north of just north of Zacharias Road. So that's alternative 4D that we are recommending. Alternative 4A is another alignment that bypasses the city of Patterson to the north, utilizes also West Main Street, but this particular alternative utilizes the existing crossing, bridge crossing at the San Joaquin River, and then goes north to Elm Street and then connects to Eucalyptus, uses Zacharias, and then a brand-new interchange at I-5 just north of Zacharias Road. And the last alternative is the southern alignment that utilizes West Main as well, but also utilizes Crow's Landing, and where Crow's Landing then connects to Fink Road and then connects to the existing interchange at Fink and I-5. So those are the three alternatives that we are recommending to advance further into a project study report. And with that said, I will end my presentation and open it up for any questions and answers.
Question on 12H.
Yes.
It looks like that would be a lot cheaper to build in that highway in that direction. And what criteria did they use to determine the other two were better options?
Well, that's, that has been a common question from a variety of different public as well as the city council. If you notice, the alignment 12H is the least expensive alternative out of all of the alternatives, which makes sense. It's consistent with that concept because it is the only alternative that utilizes existing county roads. There's no new roads that are needed for this particular alignment, so you would think it'd be cheaper, and it is cheaper. But unfortunately, it's still $215 million. I mean, there's still, we got other projects that are, I mean, it's right in that $200 million range. Well, the reason for the cost of this 12H being significantly higher is because per the Caltrans Project Development Procedures Manual, that gives some guidelines on how to develop the cost estimates for feasibility studies. One of the things in which they recommend is that when you're dealing with existing roads, you have to assume that all the existing roads will have to be replaced in their entirety. And the reason why you make that assumption is because by the time this project, if this project ever gets constructed, it may be 20 years from now. And our pavements usually are designed for about a 20-year lifespan. So we have to make the assumption that the pavement is not going to be in a good enough condition to be safe. So we estimate that cost to be a brand new road to be gutted out and then replaced. So that brings the cost of 12H up. The other major significant cost to 12H is that you have an existing interchange at Fink, and you would think that, hey, out of all the other alternatives needs a brand new interchange. Well, unfortunately, with the existing interchange at Fink, it cannot accommodate a 4-lane expressway. It can only accommodate a 2-lane. So we have to assume that the Fink Road interchange will have to be replaced in its entirety as well. There's existing structures also on Fink Road that crossing the existing canals. We have to assume those bridges will have to be replaced. There is a cost savings on the San Joaquin River at Crow's Landing because the county already has a project that's currently going to replace that existing bridge. So our cost only assumes the widening of that particular bridge, but all the other structures along that route has to be assumed to be replaced. So therefore, it kind of bumped the cost up for this alternative a little higher, but it's still, again, the least expensive of all the alternatives.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation, but it still doesn't make complete sense to me because the county already said they were going to replace that bridge that's crosses Crow's Landing at the river
Yes.
with a 4-lane, so you wouldn't have to widen it because they're preparing to replace it within the next year or so anyways. And at the overpass, you can go down to a single lane crossing onto it. It seems that you're inflating this number, and all the other routes all have to assume that the roads have to be replaced also or put in brand new ones. So $50 million where both the other two routes require a new overpass and a new bridge seems quite inflated in comparison to make it look more equal, and that this would be a better option to go to Patterson.
I understand the question, but keep in mind too that I failed to mention that you also have to cross Highway 33. So a brand new interchange will have to be placed at Highway 33. That's what we're assuming. We assume that for all the interchanges, for all the alternatives.
All of them need
Yes,
it?
but as you can see, that's a very expensive
Okay,
cost.
but then they all should go up by the same amount.
Well, you
roughly.
still have more right-of-way cost on all the other alternatives. That's why this particular alternative is the least expensive, because you have less right-of-way impacts, right? So that's significant. You also have, the other alternatives also create brand-new roads. So therefore, you have, again, the right-of-way cost along with the other right-of-way impacts and environmental impacts that come along with that. This particular alternative does not have those environmental impacts that comes with creating a brand new road, the right-of-way impacts and whatnot. So therefore, again, it makes sense that these costs would be, some will be lower, as we're seeing in our estimate, but
I agree with that, but they should be even tremendously more lower based on the fact that the county's replacing putting in a four-way bridge shortly, and the overpass is already there.
yeah, well, I'm not aware of the county replacing that bridge with a four-lane facility.
I believe they were
you're
planning on
probably
it.
right, but
Yes.
in our initial discussion with the county, it was not being replaced with a four-lane facility because it's not justified yet. I mean, it's a federal HBP program does not necessarily allow you to design for your replacement facilities for expansion when it's not justified right now. There is a project that the county has to widen Crow's Landing to 4 lanes in the future, but the federal government typically does not allow for bridges to be to use federal dollars for that. So I'm not aware of that bridge being replaced to a 4-lane facility. So our estimate assumes a widening of that. So again, this is a feasibility study. This is not definite. This is, again, very, very high level. The next level, which is a project study report, will allow for more detailed cost estimates and analysis to be done. So, we can't get into the weeds too much on these types. It's a feasibility study, all right? So there's very little information that we can have. Our cost estimates that we provided in the estimate is Caltrans uses what is known as a 6-page estimate. They have something called 11-page estimate now, but it's very detailed. So that information is made available, and public and everyone else can scrutinize and see the assumptions that were made, and it's clearly laid out, so you can see exactly why the cost of all 12H is where it's showing in our estimate. So we tried to be as comprehensive as possible, but it is consistent with everyone's understanding that this particular alignment should be the cheapest. It is. The question now is, why is it still not cheaper than what it's showing? But again, it's a feasibility study, and we are recommending that it gets advanced to the next level, so that we can see exactly if this project does go to the next level of a PSR, how feasible is the southern alignment from a cost perspective and environmental perspective and whatnot.
Okay, thank you.
Can you, I'm sorry, Councilmember. Keith, will you just talk a little bit about the PSR? Because for the layman's, the difference between a feasibility study and a PSR.
Good question.
We're not real concerned, but from an engineer's perspective, will you just talk a little bit about, we're at a feasibility study, now we're going to go to PSR, the difference in terms of the level of detail that study is going to have, and how you're really going to dive in on the cost.
That's a good question. The best way I could describe it is, imagine you're in an airplane, you're like 30,000 feet up in the air. That's where the feasibility study is. You can only see so much at 30,000 feet. A PSR would take you down to like a 10,000 foot level. You can see a little bit more, you can see a little bit more detail, maybe a 5,000 foot level, just enough where you can get more of a detailed instructions or design related to that project. And then later on, when you get to after the PSR, there's the environmental phase. And after the environmental phase, that's when you actually get on the ground and you actually do some real engineering studies and you know exactly what's going to be the impacts. So we're at this very, very, very high level. The amount of engineering data that's available to us is not in our fingertips. This is not an engineering document. A PSR would be. A PSR would have to be signed by a registered licensed engineer because there's a lot more engineering that goes into it. This feasibility study is very conceptual, very, very high conceptual, so it would answer a lot of those questions that you have in concern with the cost. And I understand your questions, but this is a feasibility study and we're way up in the air. We're just trying to determine, is it feasible to move forward to the development of a PSR, and we've made the determination that it is feasible to move forward because there are some valid alternatives to be studied further.
So in all practicality, Council, the fact that 12H in a southern alignment is included to move forward, we believe is an important aspect of it, because we've always felt that a southern alignment needs to be studied, and to be included into the next phase is an important component for us. And again, I think that's going to get to Councilmember Graham as well as the mayors, and I'm sure all of you, the detail level in terms of
Well, what do you mean they gotta build a full new interchange at Zacharias when the grades are completely opposite on the east side of the road versus the north side of the road? And how is that the same cost as upgrading Fink? They'll dive more into those details in a PSR, which is a project study report. It's gonna get you more detailed level and really dive into that. And that's where the true cost to start if there's any real divergence in the cost. Because you look at 4 and 7, and you look at them, you're like, well, one requires a complete new bridge over the river and the other doesn't, so why is one only $7 million more? Again, they're very high level, they don't get into the details of it, but at the next level, they'll really have to study on how long is that bridge, how wide is it, what are some of the characteristics in that area, is there some environmental concerns that we have to get into as well. So I think just the importance of having 12H carried forward at this time is an important factor.
I agree with that, Michael. But I also have a feeling that the perception of the public about what's being done at this point is really important. And I think it's essential that clarifications be provided, like we've received tonight, to the general public so that they understand that this is not the final decision. I think too many times the public assumes that now we have 3 routes and that's it. That may not be the case yet. So I would encourage your organization and the county and other stakeholders, including our own city, to keep the public appraised of what's going on and what this all really means. And I appreciate Michael's explanation. That really clarifies for me, and hopefully we can get that information out to the community also. Thank you.
I just have one comment on the 12H alignment. I do travel Crow's Landing every day, and my observation is that a lot of trucks travel that road. And to me, that indicates there's a reason for that, because they're coming off I-5, and they're getting onto Crow's Landing, and it's the most direct way for them to get to Modesto and to get to 99. So there has to be a reason for that, and I'm sure you'll do studies as far as what traffic is traveling on that, if it's cars or trucks or whatever else. But I just think it indicates that alignment is something that a lot of truckers use. Anyway, thank you very much.
Well,
Good presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that basically I've been watching this.
Leroy, I'm sorry, Mr. McDonald. Can you go to the mic, just so people at home can hear your questions, just in case it might concern them later? Thank you.
Name and
Roy
address,
McDonald. Just a quick comment.
Name
I've
and
been
address.
Name and address.
Roy McDonald,
I know, right?
224 Northampton,
Thank you.
Newman,
Thank you.
California. Real quick comment. I've been watching this project or the study in terms of moving forward with this, but I just wanted to say the comment, and hopefully, and I'm pretty sure Board of Supervisors and DeMartini basically have been looking at this too. But my comment is that this project is going to have a true impact for the west side, and it's going to save the valley millions of dollars because of the back roads that we use to get to Turlock and Modesto and all the rest of the little towns. Once that corridor is put in, all the roads that we've been going through, the bump holes and all those, are going to be saved. And I see the long term of this effect is going to save the county millions of dollars. So I'm pretty sure that the project is going to come through, but the key to it is basically is the support mechanism in terms of how the valley and certain city and areas support it. And I'm just basically excited, not just for the project, but excited for the west side, because we're going to have a corridor that we don't have to use these back roads and worry about the cows running out in front of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you again, and keep us updated.
will do. Thank you.
Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items.
Once again, Roy McDonald here in Newman. I just wanted to make a quick comment and introduce to the city of Newman new residents, new property owner, homeowners, Pastor Juanita and Pastor Bruce Baylor, and they just moved here to Newman. And I just wanted to basically introduce them to the city.
Welcome to Newman.
Thank you.
It's great. It's great to have you. Any other items from the public? Being none. 8 is consent calendar. Item A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolutions except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of March 22nd, 2016 meeting.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded that the consent calendar be approved as read. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent. Number 9 is a public hearing. There being none tonight, I move to item 10. 10A, report on appointments to fill vacancies of Planning Commission, Recreation Commission, and Agricultural Review Committee.
Architectural.
Sorry. You're gonna get the job anyway, so. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Mr. Manuel doesn't want to grow anything, he just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Michael, did we have questions?
Yeah, we do, and I'll go over this report. Go ahead and pass out the questions. So tonight we have a couple different vacancies, and we've been advertising these for a while. At this current time, we have 2 vacancies on our planning commission, and Ms. Ocasio here is going to pass out some questions. We have 3 vacancies on our rec commission, and unfortunately, they have not been able to meet because of those 3 vacancies. And then we have 2 vacancies on our architecture review committee. For the planning commission, we have 1 member that's currently sitting, commissioner that's currently sitting that would like to re-up, and that's Ms. Cardinal. She apologized that she was here. She had to leave. She had some personal business, another meeting that she had to go to, but she wanted to express that she was still very interested in meeting on that. We have the rec commission with Mr. Gaetan, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. McDonald, and Mr. Willis. And then lastly, we got Ken here, and Kent, and he's ready to go on the architecture review committee. So,
Thank you.
so California Government Code, when we have a separately elected mayor, the mayor appoints with the concurrence of the council. According to our local code, members who are wanting to sit on commission have an opportunity to come up, say a comment, and members of the council can ask a question. That's why we have some pre-prepared questions for you. Traditionally, what we have done is we've gone down in traditional order. We can go alphabetical if you like. The rest of the members have traditionally left the room while the questions are being asked, so that way they don't hear the question ahead of time before anybody else. With that, I can answer any other questions that you may have, Mayor.
Okay, I think the best way is to take it to planning commission first,
Sure.
and so,
Because, Mayor, because all the questions are similar in nature, we may want all the applicants for all of the, both the planning commission and the rec commission. I think Mr. Manuel might be able to stay.
I've got to leave as soon as I
Yeah.
can.
Can we just jump forward to,
If you'd like to go,
Architectural.
if you'd like to jump forward to architectural review
Yeah.
right now.
since there's only
and put
one,
Kent's
I
mind
move
at
that,
ease.
I move that we approve him.
I agree.
okay, motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
You've been elected.
Thank you.
Thank
night.
you so much.
I just want to say over here,
There you go.
Yeah,
I don't get to do this very often,
well, you're welcome anytime.
if you'll let me go. This is starting my 10th year on the Architectural Review Board, and what it has become is probably one of the finest groups of people in the city to where we've been helping a lot of people who are coming up with their projects and things like this, and sometimes they're not sure of what they want to do. And the people that we have on the board have been very, very helpful, and in a lot of cases, people are going to redo their houses, something like this, and they've got an estimate from somebody. And when they bring it to us, we sort of look at what they're talking about and find out that they're not really getting what they're paying for. And we've got people on the board who have had many, many years' experience that they go through it and talk to them about it. There was one example, Steph will remember it, where this lady wanted to put boarding on the front of her house to match what was on the rest of the street rather than just be stucco. And they gave her a price for it, and she talked to us about it, and the one person on the board said, no, let me go look at this and take good care. And they cut her costs by about 20, 25, 30%. And it was going to run her over more than that, because it was going to run her over $2,500, and we got the same thing done for $200. Only by a person on the Architectural Review Board taking it under his wing and helping them. And this is what the board has turned out to be, is to helping these people, and where they meet the city codes and everything else, but to do it and get a very, very good job and be very happy to go ahead and move into Newman. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your commitment and service to our city. We appreciate it.
Well, I'm
very
surprised you put up with me this long.
much. I know you're here because of the pay.
Right. Well, you know, I was teasing Stephanie tonight. I've got a notebook with every meeting that I've been in since I started in September 2006. I've got all of the minutes from all the meetings. And what I do is once in a while I go through this, and I remember meetings we had with Tom Applegate, Dave Reed, and things like this, and it just sort of brings back memories of things that we had done in the meetings. And I look at it that way. And then if Stephanie ever gets hung up where she's not sure what's happened, I'm there to help her. And I do
Very
have
good.
I do have to comment, Stephanie has this thing extremely well organized. See, when we walk into those meetings, everything is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, done. You don't have to guess, well, did we do this, or what did I forget? She's got it totally organized, and that's why they go just like that. So, thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Mayor, and if I might, I just give big kudos to Kent and all the Architecture Review Committee meetings. Let me give you a prime example. You look at our AutoZone, and it's a nice looking building. It's got a brick facade, but if you go to other cities, the AutoZones don't look nearly that nice. And the same thing that you can go, Los Banos has created some Dollar Generals, but they don't look as nice as our Dollar General. And that's because the Architecture Review Committee works with the people, but they take their duty seriously, and they make sure that it's an improvement upon the highway district. So I want to thank Ken and his fellow architecture.
I gotta go home, play good nurse Kent. Take care.
Good night. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Planning Commission appointees. What we'll do is we should have, how many here tonight? We have, of course, Marlena Cardinal. She's gone. Barbara Dudley's here. And Troy Willis is here. Okay. If one of you can stay, then one of you can leave just for, it's just going to be a short time. Please.
Sure. Why don't we have, even the rec commissioners will head out with the chief, if he doesn't mind taking them out.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And then I'll just text the chief when it's time for the next person to come in.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
please. Thank you.
So Barbara will go up. No, Barbara, you're going to stay. You go up to the, you'll go up. Oh,
Yeah,
to the
Barbara.
microphone. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll take question one. Casey, you guys can pick whatever you want.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
My name is Barbara Dudley, and I live at 1118 Strawbridge Drive here in town, Newman. and I've been here 6 years, and I really like the town.
Barbara, first question is, what is your reason and motivation for seeking appointment to the Planning Commission?
I felt that I could bring a new look on the commission. I've lived in a number of places. When I was married, my husband was career military. We've lived in a number of areas from Massachusetts down to Key West, Florida, San Diego, up to Whidbey Island. And I've spent 3 years in Southeast Asia. A lot of different demographics, many different house styles, including some without running water. So I think I could bring a lot. Also, when I worked for a bank, I was a mortgage underwriter, also a mortgage originator. So I have somewhat of an understanding of real estate and property management.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Casey?
All right. What should the relationship between the commission and the council be?
I'm sorry?
What should the relationship be between the commission and the council?
The council. I know Corey, or excuse me, Casey. He did a presentation with my women's club, and I'm just an acquaintance of Bob Martino.
I think you misunderstood. What do you, as a planning commission member, what do you think the relationship should be with the city council?
To work with what endeavors they have with new buildings, new projects within the city, to come to a better understanding and to have a good management of funds being involved in what they wish to do.
Thank you.
Me next? Okay. What is your vision for the city? For instance, what would you like to see the city look like in the next 10 to 20 years?
I would like to see it grow the growth of the city to be a slow, stable growth, not to have a large impact where it puts stress on the city resources and finances, i.e. the school districts, the fire departments, the police department.
Thank you.
Hi, Barbara. And so tell me, what do you like most about Newman, and what do you like least about Newman?
What I like most about Newman is from the first time when I came down to visit my daughter when she was here in town, was how friendly the town was. And anyone would say hello to you. They wouldn't know you from Adam, but they would say good morning, hello, and have a smile for you. And even today, I'll go out in town and meet new people, be involved. I'm really very involved with other clubs and organizations now. In fact, we just planted, the garden club, we just planted a tree with YOLO junior high, or middle school, which we do every other year. We trade off between the two cities. I just think it's a neat town to be in. And I have lived in many towns where people wouldn't know your name.
Oh, yeah. What do you like least about it?
Least. It's not enough good restaurants to eat at.
I concur. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've all asked you questions.
Yeah,
Thank you,
you.
Barbara.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can stay, Barbara, now.
Go ahead and send back to Troy.
Welcome, Troy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Troy Willis. I live at 769 Oristemba Peak Drive, and I'm here tonight to actually fill one of the vacancies for the Planning and Commission Board because I like to be a lot more involved in my community. I'm moved to the area in October, and I brought my family here of 12, and we're all looking to actually, they're looking for homes here as well as Newman. So we want to plant our feet here, and I want to be more involved in what's going on in my city, because where I come from, my city was very large, and the opportunity just wasn't available. So now that I have the opportunity and time available, I want to commit some of that time to give back to my community and where I stay. So that's why I'm here today.
Okay, we have some questions Troy will ask you. I'll start off. And what is the reason and the motivation for seeking the appointment to the Planning Commission?
I want to be involved in what's going on with Newman's future, presently what's going on in the future development later on. As again, this is my home permanently now. This is where we plan to stay and stay put until I retire and pass at this point. So I want to be involved in decision making as what's going on in Newman, and make sure that we be on the same page as everybody else is trying to push forth to better the city. So that's my motivation, is basically bettering the city and being part of the community, which is where I live.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
If appointed to the planning commission, what do you see the relationship between the planning commission and the council?
To my understanding, I was told they work together. And again, I'm a team player, so I believe in trying to work with the team and go for whatever's the best decision for everyone versus just trying to be someone that is an independent thought. I believe in teamwork, and I think that the team that works together is going to be the best product out of everything. It's going to be what we're looking for. Someone's looking to bring better business here or whatever we need to do. I think that as a commission board and as a council working together, I think that can play a major part, and I'd like to be part of that.
Thank you.
What is your vision for the city? For instance, what would you like the city to look like? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's a fire.
I'm sorry, one more time on the question.
Okay. What is your vision for the city? What would you like the city to look like, say, in the next 10 to 20 years?
I'd like to see population growth double, if that would be nice. I'd like to see the city grow more with more businesses. I see this, it's a very minimal amount of business, and I see a lot more potential to keep more revenues here in the city versus sending them out to Patterson and Los Banos or Modesto. So I see a good vision for Newman. I think they have plenty of land and space to develop on. I just think we just need the right scenario that could put us in a place that we can grow in, whether we implement it with the farmland or whether we implement it with the town's community. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Troy.
good evening.
And tell me, what do you like most about Newman, and what do you like least about Newman?
The least I can start with would be the cow smell. I'm from the city, a major city, which we don't have a lot of farmland where I'm from, so this was a little bit different. I've just learned to leave my windows rolled up, and that gets past that, so that's the least I like about it. The most I've liked about it since I've been here and my family, found the city to be very friendly, which is very unusual where I come from. Where I come from, more people are more aggressive as they meet. Here, they were very friendly from all ages. And that was very comfortable for me and my family from transitioning from Michigan here. I'm actually spent more time in California than any of them. I've been back and forth here for years, coming back and forth because my wife's family's here as well for years. And for my brother's family, this was all new for them. So, you know, it's peaceful. We love the peacefulness out of it. We love the friendliness out of it. And the people's just been good. It's been a very warm, welcoming to us as far as we can start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bring it to the council for direction.
I would like to recommend Marlena.
Need to stay.
Well,
Well, you
Yeah.
can just interview him first, Nick, but you can go ahead and take your action now if you want.
okay. I would recommend Marlena Cardinal and Barbara Dudley for the 2 spots on the planning commission.
I'd second that.
Okay, a motion has been made to appoint Marlena Cardinal and Barbara Dudley to the Planning Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. So Marlena Cardinal, and Barbara Dudley will serve on the Planning Commission. Thank you very much. Next item will be Recreation Commission appointees.
Mayor, I'd have to double check, but I think we only had 3 that actually showed up. I don't believe Mr. Hopkins showed up
For recreation?
for recreation. So you have 3, you have 3 applicants for 3 spots. Do you want to, I'm just saying that before you interview. If you want to interview, you can interview the 3, but.
You said Anthony Hopkins is not here?
Yeah, I don't believe he showed up.
Sure, he's probably starring in a movie right now or something.
Well, then if we have
But
3,
if not, I know Mr. Willis is here. You can start the interview process because he's already here. You can go first, or maybe the city attorney can weigh in.
Based on the fact that there are the 3 present applicants, the council can consider that. It's not dispositive of whether or not they want to consider Mr. Hopkins' application, but if the council so desires to use that as a criteria for consideration to fill the Recreation Committee, the council may do so. So based on that fact, you can move forward with appointing the 3 applicants that are present.
What's the pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we appoint the 3 that are present today.
Motion's been
second
made.
that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Who's, someone's on sign?
So, just for a matter of the record, that would be currently who's sitting as the chairman of that commission is Mr. Richard Gayton, Mr. Leroy McDonald, and Mr. Troy Willis.
Okay.
They will serve the 3. Now, the question will be is, there's 2 full 4-year terms and there's 1 3-year appointment. So we just need to clarify so staff doesn't have to write one in.
Okay, there's 2 4 and 1 3, correct?
2 4s and 1 3s, yes.
Well, ask them.
Well,
I would recommend Mr. Guyton, and is that correct? Guyton, Gayton? Gayton, okay. Mr. Gayton and Mr. McDonald for the 4-year terms, and Mr.
Okay.
Willis for the 3-year term.
Okay,
okay.
you just do that by,
Council?
Sure.
I second it.
yeah, do it straight by
That's all.
alphabetical order. Okay, so congratulations, you 3 year on the rec. Right behind you, if you haven't met her yet, is Miss Stephanie House. She's our rec supervisor, and she'll be getting you out notices pretty soon and having meetings and a few other things. One important aspect that this commission we're hopeful will be is as we go forward and we're studying the fact that to build a new community pool. This commission has a very important task ahead of them in the next 6 to 8 months, and trying to get the word out and sharing why that's an important project for not only the youth of our community, but for every level of person that serves in our community, because we're going to try to have programs for all walks of life, from the very, for everybody. So with that, we can move on to the next item.
Thank you, Mike. Huh?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead. My right-hand man had to remind me. And you know something, I didn't forget, but I do want to thank everyone. You know, it's hard to get people to come out and volunteer and give up their time. But, you know, it's very rewarding. I know that most of the people here tonight have given their time before to different committees. So we thank you very much for coming out tonight. We thank you for wanting to be a part of the city, to watch it grow. And like, there's a lot of exciting things this year. We're going to have a tough go as far as our pool. And it's going to take every one of us to make it happen. And it's something that it's going to be really important to this community. You know, we don't have a lot of things to offer young people. And that pool is going to open up a lot of avenues for young people. and for older people and things like that, for people to do exercise. And I like to see every child in Newman learn how to swim, and so some type of program like that. So we're going to fight for this, and we're going to need everyone's help. But anyway, thank you for volunteering, and thank you for coming out tonight. Anyway, moving on. Item 10B, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, initiating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for the lighting and landscape maintenance district for fiscal year 2016-2017.
Good evening, City Mayor and Council members. The City of Newman has a total of 15 zones within the lighting and landscaping maintenance district, which is called LLD, in various locations throughout the city. Improvements provided within the district include the weekly operation, maintenance, and servicing of all public landscaping areas. As required by the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972, there is one resolution before Council initiating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessment and of ordering the preparation of an assessment engineer's report for the lighting and the landscaping maintenance district for fiscal year 2016-17. The next steps in the process is to develop the engineer's report for the City Council consideration, declare the intention to levy and collect assessment in May 24th Council meeting, and conduct a public hearing for the proposed assessment in the June 28th Council meeting. Therefore, staff recommends the City Council initiate proceedings for the levy and collection of assessment for the lighting and landscape maintenance district for fiscal year 2016-17. I can answer to any question you may have.
Any questions from the
None
council?
for me.
Being none, bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution next number 2016, a resolution initiating proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments for the lighting and landscape maintenance district for fiscal year 2016-2017.
Second the motion.
Okay, the motion and the second has been made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent. Agenda item 10C, adopt resolution number 2016, next number, a resolution awarding a bid of a 3/4 ton pickup to Macaulay Ford in the amount of $24,484.02.
Good evening again. The Public Works Department budgeted $27,000 in the fiscal year 2015-16 water budget to replace one 3/4 ton pickup for the water division because the existing pickup is past its life expectancy and is no longer considered reliable because a lot of the repair effort frequently. The city advertised for bids for approximately 2 weeks and received 4 bids that were opened and read on March 24, 2016 at 2 p.m. The lowest responsible bidder is Macaulay Ford with a total bid amount of $24,484.02. This is a water fund expenditure, so there will be no impact on the general fund. Therefore, staff recommends City Council award the bid for one 3/4 ton pickup to Macaulay Ford in the amount of $24,484.02. Happy to answer to any question you may have.
Was the decision to go with a single cab as opposed to the dual cab because of the cost?
Yes, the Public Works Department doesn't need the double cab. Just a single cab will be, that's sufficient.
Okay.
It is why we budgeted $27,000. Fortunately, the low bid was under the budget.
Right. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, was
Yes.
the $1,500 for the light bar and the toolbox Was that part of the 27 originally, or was that there
Yes.
1,500 on top of that?
Yeah, that's why we estimate the cost way in advance.
Right.
So we approximately estimated like a $25,000 plus a little more.
Right.
So $27,000 will cover some additional equipment, which is approximately $1,500.
Right. Perfect. I move that we adopt resolution next number 2016, a resolution awarding the bid of a 3/4 ton pickup to Macaulay Ford in the amount of $24,484.02.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. 10D, adopt resolution number 2016, next number, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with the Westside Community Health Care District, Westside Ambulance, and authorizing the Fire Division Chief to execute said agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'd like to discuss the report pertaining to the memorandum of understanding between Westside Ambulance and the City of Newman Fire Department. The agencies have a long-standing relationship and recently recognized a community benefit. The fire department, being an all-risk public service, provides emergency medical responses, and this is directly with Westside Ambulance. These two agencies do not have a formal agreement currently that pertains to equipment purchasing and billing. Currently, both agencies are required to provide necessary emergency medical supplies for life-saving measures. However, Westside is a bill for service provider and seeks reimbursement on supplies used, whereas the fire department provides the equipment through in-kind services. Therefore, the fire department and Westside would both benefit through an equipment sharing agreement, which is presented before the council. Through the agreement, Westside Ambulance will provide the City of Newman Fire Department at no cost the essential life-saving equipment necessary to provide emergency medical responses. In return, the fire department will use this equipment to provide for the sick and injured. Westside Ambulance will bill for service and supplies used. The fire department is therefore relieved of its responsibility to purchase these supplies and equipment. The fiscal impact for the City of Newman would be a positive one, because therefore we wouldn't have the need to purchase this emergency medical equipment. It'd be supplied for us. Staff recommends the City Council adopt Resolution 2016 next number, approving the Memorandum of Understanding with Westside Community Ambulance District, or Westside Ambulance, and authorize the Fire Chief to execute said agreement. I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for the council?
I don't have any. It's a good move.
Thanks,
Move.
Keith. Bring it back.
Go ahead.
Bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2016 next in number, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with Westside Community Health District, Westside Ambulance, and authorizing the Fire Division Chief to execute said agreement.
Second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent.
Thank you.
Next item is E. Presentation regarding Christmas tree plaza changes. This is interesting, you know, here we are. This time of the year, we're already thinking about Christmas, but.
About a year too late, though.
One of the things we have to, just as you heard, our council member Candia, he never lets me forget about that Christmas tree. But we need to do some pre-planning. I mean, obviously, this is something that I know some of the council members take pretty seriously, and so we're going to ask for your input tonight in terms of giving us some direction on what it is that you would like to see, so that we can go out and get further cost and estimates and some design work if necessary for you guys. So as you can see in the middle of our thing there's our Christmas trees. Yeah,
It's missing the top.
somehow the top fell off.
Charlie Brown would be proud of that.
With that being said, there are many people in this community that love our Christmas tree. They're just not here tonight. But I hear it all the time, and I hear it.
It seems to be stunted.
So first, I think we just need to identify some issues that the council may have. So as we looked at the first slide, you know, one of the questions as your staff is, the species of tree or the type of tree? Is that a concern for you, or is it more just the shape and configuration of the current tree? As we've talked to some arborists and as we've worked with some of our public works staff, what we anticipated happen on that was, it's an elevated tree because it's in a well, right? The tree well. When it was originally planted, we don't think that the soil was compacted enough and it wasn't staked properly. As my public works superintendent told me, they just used one of those bamboo ones as opposed to using the appropriate staking method, which lent itself to probably the prevailing winds pushed it over, and so therefore I know one of the biggest concerns is the tree is not straight. It has a lean to it, and it's starting to fight its way back, but it's not there, and it's very difficult to get there. So, is it from a council perspective? Is it the shape and configuration of our tree, or is it the species of the tree that you would like, or both?
Both.
And so I hear two. Is that a concurrence?
Yeah,
Yes.
I concur.
Just not an ugly one.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's a Deodora cedar, I believe is what it is, and it kind of hangs a little bit low. The branches aren't straight out; they just kind of hang. And that branch pattern is not what you like. Is that
It doesn't look
Very
like a
weeping.
traditional Christmas tree.
Yeah.
okay? So that helps. We'll also talk a little bit about the location of the trees. We have the tree well, it's been planted there, and we're going to get into the next slides. We'll talk a little bit about the constraints of that particular site, because there are some things that really prohibit and constrain us from going out and just putting any old Christmas tree that we think matches a Christmas tree there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Are there any other issues that you're seeing right now, but it's basically you just don't like the way it hangs, and it's just really not your vision of what you want for a Christmas tree out there is what I'm hearing. Okay. So there are some opportunities and constraints with, and that's planner talk from my old days, which really means good things and bad things. So some of the opportunities of the good things is, its existing location is adjacent to Main Street. It ties it in. There really is a tree well there per se. It's about 14 to 15 foot inside diameter there. So has the location of that ever been an issue for any of you? I mean, that's never been an issue.
I think it's a great location.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it where it's at.
Yeah, because, when you drive by there, Michael, and the lights are on at Christmas time, it's the most beautiful thing you can see, even though it's an ugly tree. The fact that it's decorated and everything, I mean, I know everybody tries to love that tree when they put all the lights on and everything else and made it look so nice. And Susan,
I think
worked
our
hard on
volunteers
that.
did an excellent job this year of dressing it up for you.
Susan did a fantastic job.
I think too.
But what you're saying is it's kind of the old Sarah Palin comment, you put a little lipstick on a pig. Is that what you kind of did with it? Is that what you're telling us? We'll move on.
Michael, I think we need someone that really knows a lot about trees.
And we have that person, and I'm going to speak to that just in a minute.
Okay.
Good. So another opportunity is, the infrastructure's in place, so we have a good location on that one. The challenge with that site is by it being elevated, it's about 32 inches to the top there. So you probably have, 24 to 28 inches worth of soil in there. When you dig that tree out and you plant one in there, it's in non-native soil, so it's field dirt, and it doesn't compact that well. So it takes a while for those roots to get down deep and to get into the hard pan and the real soil that's going to hold it in place. So staking and compaction is going to come in on that one. Now, we worked with Mr. Perry. Everybody, I think most of you know Mr. Perry, who's a certified arborist, and we've talked to him about that tree. We talked to him a little bit about, is there any way to resurrect it? We talked to all the different ways. And then we asked him if we don't go with this species, what other species is there that would be conducive to that environment? One of the challenges with that environment is, at times it gets a little warm in the summer around here. And it's surrounded by concrete, right? So with all the heat and the reflection off the concrete and off the buildings and some of the other things, it really is a difficult environment to grow a good tree there. So it really limits what type of tree, what species of tree that you can put there. In fact, in our conversations with Mr. Perry, he really only recommended one tree, and that's called an Afghan pine. Would be his sole recommendation. If you take that species out and replant a new one, you would come in with an Afghan pine. Pines are not true. Some people use pines for Christmas trees. They're not traditionally Christmas trees. Afghan pines, sometimes they do get a conical shape. Look like that, but other times they don't. So we're going to bring this back in a different presentation to show you what an Afghan pine will look like in that particular location. We're also going to, again, work with Mr. Perry a little bit, again, and just have him reevaluate and say, okay, really, is Afghan pine the only thing? But when Mr. Kim and myself and our superintendent Perfecto was out there, he really just said, you're really pigeonholing yourself into this one type of tree if you're going to pull that one out. So you're going to have to look at that species he's talking about and make a decision of whether or not that's the one you want. So we had two opportunities and two constraints there, but one opportunity that we as staff talked about that we didn't really bring forward actually is, we do have a grassy area out here on the corner of Fresno and 33. And by looking at that area over there, by this area right here, you can see that's a much more conducive environment to actually growing a live tree. So we wanted to bring that to your attention in case you wanted to maybe relocate your Christmas tree. If you wanted to put a live one, you could put one out here in the center here. It's got a nice, beautiful grass, native soil that it could grow nice and healthy in. There's a water source there, so that would be an opportunity for you to consider. The other thing, what it does is it kind of brings Christmas out to the highway and hopefully draws people in a little bit into your downtown, into your plaza if there was a tree there. And we're not advocating one way or another. We're only trying to provide you options that you may or may not have looked at. I'm going to back up just a little bit because we're trying to give perspective here. So our planner's kind of gone out and taken a picture, and it kind of shows you about where we're at. That's the current height of the tree. It's sitting in that 14 to 15 foot range right now. So, trying to fill that space is obviously going to be important in terms of moving it forward. So,
Michael,
any questions before I kind of go on to the next step?
What if we left the Christmas tree where it is and you show the picture there, not leave that one alone, that's fine, that's the original, and then put a Christmas tree out on the lawn? I don't know if the council would even, if that sounds like it makes sense or not, but to me, the tree is going to grow a lot better in that area than it will ever in this area. That's correct. Now, the thing with this species of tree, it grows to about a 22 foot height. It really is, from a height perspective and a girth perspective, it really fits what we were trying to achieve. But again, I think some of that hanging pattern, and I don't know if there are other, obviously each individual tree is different, so they have different branching patterns. So some of these branches don't hang as much as you can see, kind of up here at the top a little bit. They do kind of reach out a little bit.
You know, if we went back, we could always work with an arborist again and trying to prune this one, or if you replanted one, obviously we would have an arborist oversee not only the replanting, the compaction, and the staking of any new tree. If this one came out, any new tree would obviously be, an arborist would be there all the way through the process with this. Not only do the planting of it, but the first couple of years of the cycle, so.
Mr. Mayor, are you suggesting then that this tree remain
Yes.
and that we plant a new Christmas tree
Yes.
on the grassy knoll?
Okay, and that's one option. And
And-
I'm gonna provide you guys a couple different options here, but let's
Okay.
just keep that one, we'll keep that one out there, we'll call that.
But, you know, the other part of the conversation, as you know, Mike, in this case, you know, we wanted to have a memorial site there.
Correct.
And so we'd have to incorporate that in that area, so.
Yes.
I don't know
And
if it's
that-
feasible.
And that's not, staff has not forgotten that.
Yeah.
And so we do have that, although it's not a part of this particular presentation. We've been collecting information with respect to having a veterans memorial in this particular this next location, which is out here. So what I'm hearing the mayor say is, again, backing up, just the potential for keeping this tree here, which could be decorated to a certain extent, but also have a second tree out here that could be decorated as well, and then you could ultimately have two trees that go on there. So we're going to show you a couple options, and keep in mind these are not in any order of preference or priority. They're just options. So option one is leave the existing tree in place. So, under the direction of an arborist, we just continue to prune and reshape the tree to try to improve its aesthetics. And again, that's one of the things I think the council is, as I'm hearing from the council, is just not meeting their standards of the aesthetics that they would like to see. So option two is you can remove that existing tree and replace it with the same or a different species in that same location. I'm hearing that's a very viable option because you like that location. The additional option that is out there, and I unfortunately didn't type it in, I wish I would have. We've also done research on artificial trees and stuff that you see in New York City and some of the other ones that you could potentially purchase about a 20 to 22 foot tree, artificial tree that's already built in with lights, and you just build it every year and put it into the tree well. And it would sit up and it would fill that space nicely. So the challenge with that is obviously is what do you do with that space in the meantime?
Right.
But we have some other options. If you even wanted us to consider that, we could bring that back another time. At the end of this exercise, our goal is just for you to give us some direction so we can bring back another presentation to you, probably in the next month or so, furthering trying to narrow this down to what you want to see in terms of options are moving forward. Again, if we're removing an existing tree or replacing it with the same, obviously we'd work with an arborist during the installation to ensure compaction alignment is taking. And then we'd follow that up with, and I think both of these things kind of contributed to maybe the current condition of it is, just making sure we got an arborist out there in the spring and the fall, looking at the tree. Does it need to be restaked? How's it growing? Is there any amendments to the soil that we could do and helping them to ensure that proper pruning and maintenance is done those first couple of years. As you know, the first couple of years of a tree are really important in how it's going to progress in terms of how its branching pattern is going to evolve. So now we're up to option 3. Option 3 is to remove the tree and replant a tree in the grassy area near the intersection of Fresno and Highway 33. That's the intersection that I showed you out there. That can also include not only replanting a tree out there, but you could take an artificial tree and set it in that area too, and just build it in the Christmas time every year, if that's another option out there that you would like us to consider. Again, you're going to see this arborist in there. I just think it's important that we're going to continue to do that. Now, if we remove that tree in the planter, we got to fill that space with something. Because as I showed you in the first one, you know, there's some height there. We've got a tall building, we got a tall archway. You don't want to leave a void. Now, you could fill it with some ground cover and some perennials and just maybe some plants there and get a couple feet of height. Or you could replant that original location with some kind of ornamental tree that might grow up a little bit taller. Maybe, I'm gonna throw out maybe like a magnolia or arbor maple or something like that's very decorative in nature. You could always please decorate that as well. While it's not an official Christmas tree, it can be decorated with a Christmas theme. But the replanting of the official Christmas tree would then be out here in the grassy area, whether that was a formal live one or an artificial one. But the formal one would be out there. But with adding on to what the mayor had said earlier is, you know, tying Christmas into the main street, and I think people enjoy that piece of it. You could still maybe get a little bit of that if you had an ornamental tree with just some Christmas theme on it. And then lastly, if we took that tree out and replaced it and put a tree out in the grass area, you could replace in the decorative planter box area. You could do a monument for the veterans at that particular location with flagpoles and other things there. That's going to give you a little bit of height. That's going to be centrally located. It's not as highly visible as being on the grassy area on the highway going through, but it is definitely prominent in the plaza, and it would be prominent on downtown. So there are two different options in terms of a location for some kind of monument on there in terms of moving forward. So again, we're just going back to showing a few photos on there. You could do a Christmas tree out here, whether it's a formal vibe or an informal artificial out in this one here. On this corner here, I was just recently in Clovis this last week. Veterans Memorial Stadium has a nice Veterans Memorial out in front of their stadium that really is kind of sits in this pattern here where it faces an intersection here and everybody passing by it sees it, and all the branches of armed services are recognized there, as well as having an American flag in the background and a California flag out there as well. And then these last ones again just show that if that tree disappeared permanently, we probably would need to do something in terms of building height in there. And then again, that could be either replaced with an existing tree with either an African pine or an artificial tree. And again, we're just showing you how big that space is again. You know, we talk about it here, but you know, that's the inside diameter is 15 feet, 14 and a half to 15 feet. So it's a big space. It takes up a lot of space. So.
Was there any discussion with the arborist about the potential for doing some pruning on the existing tree if it stayed in that location?
There was. The biggest challenge is it's been there a few years, and we could do some pruning, we could do some maintenance on this to kind of reshape it a little bit. I don't know that it's ever going to achieve the level that I think some have come to want or desire out of that Christmas tree. It's always going to carry a flaw with it. The existing tree is always going to carry that flaw. So, and that, again, I think that's just going back to just us not bringing that arborist on board and caring for it, and it not being compacted properly, and not being staked properly. If you think about it, you know, those winds, those prevailing winds are going to come right through, you know, coming down this way, probably from that Tulare, and shooting it down in there, because it kind of comes out of that Altamont Pass area, comes through those, and then shoots through here as it goes out to the highway. So you can see that tree is getting pushed that way. You can see it, see how it's getting pushed, kind of that back way there.
So I think the trees, as far as health-wise, is growing well in its location. It's just not very pretty.
Correct.
I mean, there's been some, I don't know if you want to call it neglect, but mistakes with keeping it posted straight and the little nip at the top of it that kind of
Correct.
took it to a demise.
It's a nice Christmas bush.
Right, it's more of a bush now. So, personally, I would really like to see a tree in that spot. To me, that just ties into downtown. And I'd prefer it there than rather out on the grassy knoll.
Is that a concurrence?
Yeah.
Because what I'll do is, if that's the concurrence of the council, we'll go back, we'll talk to Mr. Perry again, and then we're gonna come back to you with a presentation of what he would recommend doing in that space with trees. You know, if he says there's really, you have two options, either this species or another one, we'll provide you what those two look like. And then the third option, obviously, we'll show you what an artificial could potentially look like in there too.
So then
If he gives you 4 or 5 options, we'll bring them as many as we can to you.
And personally, if we decide to do a memorial out on the grass area, with the flag being lit all the time, that kind of things, I think at Christmas time, they'd be kind of competing that close together.
It's a
for
pretty big
attention.
area. It's a pretty big area. You know, we, as staff, we just kind of saw it out here. You could have the monument, towards the front here, and then if you were back here in the middle, up on the top of the crown over there, you could have something just kind of in the background there that just, maybe if you had the 2 trees, you could have one fully decorated on Main, and this one just has color behind it or something, that just kind of ties that in a little bit. So I think there's enough distance there, but it's a very valid point that we would look at and bring that back to you. So with that, I'm kind of hearing the general consensus is we like the Main Street location. Preference would be to maybe look at doing a new tree.
Yes, mine anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah. And then what I'll do is.
with hers.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we can see about getting Mr. Perry here to, you can get some firsthand questions and knowledge on him in our next presentation and really hammer that in. But we'll work on getting you some additional information on this. The reality is, so if we elect to remove this tree and replant a new tree properly under the guidance of Mr. Perry, we'll probably go ahead and just do this tree one more year, because it's gonna be too late to decorate anything else, right? We'll do our grand farewell tour. And
I'll bring
as
the
we
axe.
take, as with that.
I'll bring the axe.
Yeah, as we pull down the decorations next year and replant a new one, and stake it and get it all properly done, and do that in the spring of 17. The reality is we'll have to do something in the interim probably for at least 2 years, because you're really not gonna wanna decorate a new tree. I think that's one of the problems here is they got too close and decorated. We were in such a hurry to, show it off and show off the plaza that we probably did some damage, and then that's, I think, when the top got accidentally knocked off. And so, we just want to be more careful if we're going to do it in 2 years in the long term, and no one will notice those 2 years. But we'll find a suitable replacement during those 2 years. So anyways, we'll come back in about a month with it.
There's a couple of people in Newman, one just behind my house on another street. They have a couple beautiful blue spruces in their yard.
Mhm.
I mean, they're big. And how did they survive out here?
That's a great question. We can again, and a lot of it may just be, if it's in the yard, the roots can go a lot further than here. Because again, let me back this up here.
Oh, yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Right here.
It's in
We're
a
talking,
bowl.
yeah, it's in a bowl, and then it's not getting everything that you might get in one jar. So, but that's not to say that it can't be done. So,
Yeah.
again, we'll work with Mr. Perry and try to meet all your needs and direction on that. So, we'll come back in May with something on the follow-up presentation to you.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
And just so you know, a memorial is still a very important piece that we're considering, and so we're currently gathering pictures and just exhibits from across the country of how different communities have honored our veterans, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about what you would like to see in terms of that as well. So that's a future presentation. We're trying to keep them a little bit separate here, but just know that we have not forgotten that that's one of the things that's high on the council's list. Okay.
Thank you. Now, there's no action report.
No action.
Okay, under regular business, item F, approval of project list to include in StanCog's expenditure plan.
Yeah, and I think we left that out. So, as you know, StanCog came and did a presentation to you, and so in November, StanCog, which is our regional transportation authority, is looking at placing a measure on the November ballot that would ask Stanislaus County residents if they would be willing to accept a 1/2 cent sales tax addition to fund transportation projects. 50% of all monies collected would go towards the maintenance of existing roads to help fix roads. We have to come up with a list of potential projects that we could include inside of an expenditure plan. So in your staff report, it's in there, and I'll read these off just so the members of the public can know. Inyo Avenue, doing surface improvements out at Inyo Avenue. As you know, Inyo Avenue basically from Saputo out to Canal School Road, and even from Saputo in, there's some serious need for some surface improvements out there. Canal School Road, that road is a highly traveled road basically from Inyo into Hills Ferry, and that's a lot of cut-through traffic from Merced County that's going out into Turlock and some of the other ones, but it's done some real damage to our roads out there. There's really a lot of alligatoring going on out there. So we have identified that projects. We've identified including some sidewalk and bike route improvements. We call them safe routes to school, just making sure that our youth can access their schools in a safe manner, whether it be in pedestrian level or on a bicycle or both, as well as traveling well, because a lot of the decisions we're going to be making now as a community are going to affect the next couple of generations, and we want to make sure that we continue to be a walkable and a bikeable community. So there's money that's in there. And while we put some money in here, there's actually a component to the sales tax measure that specifically targets pedestrian and bicycle improvements. The largest portion of this is pavement management, and we didn't really go site specific because we wanted to include some flexibility on there. We do have a pavement management system, and each of the roads is different. If you go out and you do a slurry seal and you include some I'll call it moisture, you kind of put the moisture back into the roadways. It helps prolong their life. Instead of a 20-year, you might get 30-year. Some are going to need new pavement, and some are going to need some other things on there. So the vast majority would be a citywide program just to improve potholes as well as to extend the life of our roadways. We put in about $1 million for local matches. For pavement management, it's about $5 million. That's the majority of our money that would go there. We estimate that we would probably get between $6 and $7 million over about a 20 to 25 year period to do these projects. We try to leverage some of that money and to get for matches for local and federal projects. A lot of our corridors, depending on how they're rated, there's collectors, and then the next step is an arterial that carries more traffic, and then obviously the highway system. Highway 33, the major system on there. A lot of times if you have a little bit of local money, 10, 20, 30%, you can leverage that money and get more federal grants. So we put $1 million aside for that. And then just congestion management, stoplights, and some of the other things that go along with that to help the flow of traffic continue. So, did I miss? I know it's kind of, we try to do it with a broad stroke so that way it allows some flexibility. But the reality is, that we'll just pave the most well-traveled roads first, and then try to extend the left for the rest. So, but it also allows the council the flexibility later on to prioritize those projects. With your concurrence, I'll submit that list to
Yeah, I just had one quick question.
Yes.
Michael, on the project, Enyo and Canal School, how do they, time-wise, would you think they would fit into the
Well,
program?
we already have money to improve the intersection at Canal School and Inyo. And I think that's 17, 18 money, correct?
Yes, 17, 18, and 18, 19.
So 17, 18, 18, 19, we have money set aside to improve that intersection. What we're challenged with right now is our infrastructure, our water and our sewer lines stop at Saputo and do not continue eastward. So what we would like to do is get some money so we can put all the underground infrastructure in, extend water and sewer lines all the way to Canal School, and then tie them into the existing Canal School water and sewer lines, so you don't have to tear up a road after you've already paved it. So that's why we've pushed that project out to 17, 18, 18, 19.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay, bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we accept approval of projects list to be included in the StanCog expeditiary plan. Wow.
Thank you, Casey. In a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent. And item 11, items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim D. Martini. Jim, we're keeping you a little bit longer tonight.
At least we didn't throw rocks at each other.
Okay, you're still faster than Patterson, believe me. Good evening, Mayor Martina, members of the council, staff. I have just a few things tonight, but I would like to clarify the what was said about the bridge across Crow's Landing Road. There was some truth to that the federal government will not fund a 4-lane bridge. But there are ways around that, as you know. And if any of you have ever traveled across the bridge on Carpenter Road, across the Tuolumne River, you will see a 2 or 3 lane bridge there that has these real wide pedestrian walks. Well, that is really essentially a 4-lane bridge. And the reason it's like that is because of the funding we got. The road to the north is 2-lane. It's 4-lane at Robertson Road, goes down to 2-lane for a while. And if those were made to 4 lanes, that we would take those barriers out, those concrete barriers, and that's 4-lane bridge. And you just have to know how to play the game with the federal government. They know that we do that. They will not fund a 4-lane bridge, but we have a very wide 2 or 3 lane bridge. I think that one on Crow's Landing Road was 3-lane, the turning lane, but it essentially is a 4-lane bridge when we're through with it. But he is right that it's not a 4-lane. They won't fund the 4-lane bridge, but there's ways to make a 4-lane bridge out of it. And magically, when you remove the barriers, and there's the 4-lane bridge. So this is what we do to get the funding. Federal government pays 90% of the funding, so that's the way it works. Also, just one other observation on tearing down the Fink Road overpass to make it 4-lane. I'm not sure that that's really necessary, and I would remind the council that the county has some experience with the Kernan Road Bridge, which was 2-lane and now it's 4, and we just built 2 lanes alongside of it without tearing down the old one. And, it was a lot cheaper way of doing it. I mean, and so you start removing bridges and replacing them just to make them wider, sometimes it's not necessary. I'm not a civil engineer. My background's in agriculture, but I know that we made a 4-lane bridge on a Kernan Road out of a 2-lane bridge for a whole lot less than tearing the whole thing down and starting over again. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be considered, with the South Corridor. I mean, these are things that I've brought up that, that I just know from past projects. They are at a high level right now, but I think when it really comes down to the real cost of the southern route, they're going to find it's a whole lot less than either route to the north. I just want to make those comments. He was right, but maybe he's not completely right. So So, just the way you interpret the law. Okay, in the task force meeting, we just had one in Patterson. I thought it was a very good meeting. We had about 30 people there, including the administrator from Tenet, Doctors Hospital. We are in the process now of planning our health summit, which we will do here in Newman at the West Side Theater, if it's all right with the council. We're probably do it just before the Fall Festival. I have a subcommittee meeting, which we were hoping to use your old council chambers for that, but I forgot what the date was for that. I'll let you know if it's available, otherwise we'll find somewhere else. Anyway, the Health Summit, it's geared to adults, so this year we were thinking about maybe extending the hours of it a little bit and perhaps doing something for teens too, because we work with kids and teenagers and adults, so as we expand what we do with the task force there, we would like to do some programs for teenagers. But we're working out those. It's at the very beginning of the planning right now, because it could be what's coming. And as we plan to add, 3 youth members to our board too. So as I say, we deal with children, we deal with teenagers, we deal with adults. So we think that possibly having some teens on the board might give us some perspective of programs that we might be able to use for the youth. As kids today are not as active as they used to be, and they're more playing video games and texting each other rather than running around the track or playing basketball or something. So we think who would know better what teens would like to do for exercise than teens themselves. So anyway, that's kind of the direction we're going. One comment too, I see you have a recreation committee, which is good. I don't know if you have a position for that or part-time, but the task force does work with Jolene in Patterson as the recreation director, and Tiffany in Gustine, and stuff like the West Side Walks or whatever programs that we have for exercise. If you have a committee or a position like that, we'd be glad to work with them to see what we can do to promote healthier lifestyle and exercise and programs that the task force would be glad to work with you with. So we do that for the other 2 cities. And our next meeting will be in Gustine about the end of May. I forgot what the date was right now. We just set it, but it will be at City Hall in Gustine. County continues to work on its groundwater sustainability agencies. I met with West Stanislaus Irrigation District today. They're part of the group, and we did get some funding for it, and everybody's chipping in a little bit. County's paying half of what the grant doesn't, and then I know all the cities kick in a little bit, and all the irrigation districts, and this way we can do the studies for these GSAs to come up with what is sustainable groundwater extraction. It's required by state law. We're underway now. We do have some grant funding, and we're doing the studies. In this county, there are 4 basins. One's up by Oakdale, in the Oakdale Irrigation District, Modesto, Turlock in the west side. And the main group that's working in this area is Del Puerto Irrigation District, trying to come up with those numbers. Yeah, as I said before, the air base at Crow's Landing's in final environmental review now. We expect it out this summer, and then it will be available for public comment for a while. And be thinking of this when it does come out, to what you would like to see in that project. So, unlike the last time where the developer said this is the project, just too bad if you don't like it. We're not going to do that this time. We want to listen to what the West Side wants, and I think that we'll have a good project. Whatever project we have, it's going to have the buy-in of the local communities too, not like the last time. And that's all I have for this evening.
Anyone have any questions?
I appreciate you clarifying the bridge thing. I knew that's what you guys did on some of the bridges out on Carpenter and that.
Yeah, and the Carpenter Road's just a perfect example. You see those temporary barriers there. Well, someday we're just going to come remove those barriers, and there's a 4-lane bridge.
Yeah.
It's just that they won't fund it. If you call it a 4-lane bridge, they won't fund it. So we call it a 2-lane bridge with a very wide area for pedestrians on each side. with temporary barriers that you can remove in a day. But I wanted to, he was right. He said the federal government would not fund the 4-lane bridge, but there's ways around that.
Absolutely. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. Number 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to, again, thank all of our applicants for our planning commission and our rec commission, as well as Kent for architecture review. You know, without these volunteers, it's very difficult to achieve the level of community that we're trying to achieve and create healthy lifestyles that Jim talks about, and create an aesthetically pleasing community, as well as, you know, some jobs and some residential growth. And it's an exciting time to be on the planning commission and or rec commission, because one of the items I'm going to talk about tonight is this northwest quadrant. Now, the northwest quadrant's an annexation that the city took the lead on, and we're spending our own dollars at this particular time, and we'll be reimbursed by the developers later. But it's about 1,200 homes, but more importantly, it's 2,000 jobs. We're talking about 1 million square feet worth of job-generating businesses. And creating that here in Newman, I think, is going to be critical for us to capture some of the economic development and economic growth that's occurring here on the west side. We see our neighbor to the north get a lot of it, so there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to capture some of that. So our EIR is at the administrative draft level. We're looking at it internally, and then we'll be releasing probably that here in probably the next 45 to 60 days for review, similar to what's going on with the Cruz Landing Air Base. So I want to thank Ms. Dudley for doing that. Some of the decisions that not only the Planning Commission and the City Council, but the Rec Commission are going to impact, and they're going to have generational impact, because, you know, there's over 30 acres of park and a sports park in this particular project, and so a lot of the decisions that these new members have taken on tonight are going to have a lasting impact on the city of Newman. So that's great to know. Speaking of healthy lifestyles, and Supervisor, we met with the county CEO again. As you know, our supervisor has talked a little bit about the opportunity for the county to be the funding mechanism in terms of the bank, if we're successful in having a measure that would allow us to build a community pool. And we're continuing to work with the county CEO on that. I think I might need to bring Jim in on some of these conversations, because his interest rates are a little bit higher, and he's not as flexible as Jim. I kind of like Jim's plan better than the CEO's plan. So, Jim, we're gonna have you in on the next meeting. With that being said, though, the county CEO has been excellent in terms of supporting our project. I think we have his support. There may be 1 or 2 members on the board they're probably going to have to talk to a little bit and share why it's important to have this project on the west side, and why it's important for the county to participate. So we look forward to that meeting. On Monday of next week, the mayor and I have been invited to participate in a recreational marijuana working group. As you know, I believe it's qualified for the ballot. There's going to be a recreational marijuana measure on the ballot that would legalize recreational marijuana. So Stanislaus County is kind of working together to see what we can do as a county to all get on the same page and how we're going to address the outcome of that. And so we'll be doing some discussions on that on Monday. Talked a little bit about the Northwest Quadrant again. I think that's a great project. Baseball has started, so come on out and watch either baseball, t-ball, softball, or all different levels going on out there. Now, we talked a little bit about the South County Corridor project, and I didn't say it during the presentation, but the reality is that project, I mean, we're at the feasibility stage, and that's one thing, and it's great to get to the next level, but this next level, the PSR, it's all about the politics. There's huge money in Patterson going on over there right now, and they are going to push, and they're going to do everything they can to get that South County corridor to go north of Patterson, because there's a lot of development over there, and they would rather have the whole county pay for their interchange instead of them having to pay for it themselves. So while we here in Newman, we're going to benefit a little bit from having that corridor come south, but we're not talking it's coming up to our doorstep. We just think from a planning perspective, there's really no tie for people that are in Stanislaus County, whether you're a business or a resident, to really tie in to southbound I-5. And there's no real direct corridor to get it there. And if you're doing trucks and you're going down the southbound I-5, or you're going to go across into Gilroy or Hollister, there's no real way to get into that corridor. As well as if you're northbound on I-5 and you're going into Beard Track or you're going somewhere else, you know, there's no real corridor. You're going into the Turlocks new industrial park. There's no real way, easy way to get there. So that's why we've really been pushing, looking at that southern route there. The other thing is, when you look at it, 132 and the South County corridor, if it goes north of Patterson, it's only about 12 miles apart. So you're not really saving a lot of time. You can jump on 99, jump on 132, and take that across. So, but just beware, the gloves are going to come off, and politics are going to be heavy when South County corridor decisions come about. And then just lastly, you approved the MOU tonight, and I want to thank our Chief Bowen for, he took the lead on this and went out and worked with Westside on this. It really is a good project for us to have those supplies so that our firefighters can go out and provide, first responder medical care to our residents. 70 to 80% of all of our calls are medical generated. So the fact that Chief Bowen went out and did that, that's a testament to his dedication to the residents of this community. So with all of that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
I have one, Michael. The community pool, do we have any dates as far as our next meeting?
Okay, so from a community committee perspective, that's fallen aside. I know Ms. Butero's creating a political PAC that's going to help push that, but that's separate from the city. From the city council perspective, you're going to start taking your next actions at the next meeting. There's going to be resolutions of intent that we're moving forward. So you're going to start seeing things show up on your agenda at your next meeting that are going to be geared towards you moving this item and getting it on the November ballot. So we've been working behind the scenes to get a lot of that prepared for you in terms of the resolution, the map, just some of the legal descriptions, working with bond counsel to make sure everything is written correctly, making sure we're getting all of our costs and everything done. So again, April 26th is your first step towards putting that on the ballot.
Thank you, Michael.
Again, I think it's outstanding that the county's willing to help us out with, financing the funding, because not going out to bond is potentially saving us a ton of money.
Yeah, and it does two things. One, it saves the residents and taxpayers money if we end up doing it, but it keeps your dollars local.
Mm-hmm.
We're not selling bonds to people who aren't in the area or aren't even in our state. We're borrowing money from Stanislaus County, from our own residents, and paying them back the interest. So the money stays local; it doesn't leave our area. So it's a twofer on that one. So I think that's if we can get this partnership done, it's going to be a great help not only for ourselves but for everybody on the west side.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Chief, anything tonight?
Nothing tonight.
I'm going to move over here to Stephanie. Stephanie, do you have anything tonight?
No comments tonight.
No comment tonight. How's our skate park coming along?
They should be mobilizing, we're thinking late April, early May. I'm waiting on confirmation of just them ordering certain items that are necessary. And we will be having planning commission next week, and the council will be seeing the final housing element at the end of April.
But the contract has been
Executed.
Yep, it's executed. Everything's moving along, so we're just waiting for them to get everything mobilized. There is a time that we have to wait between ordering the parts and them coming in, because they have to be actually prefabricated. So there's a little waiting lull between that, but in the meantime, they're getting everything else going.
That corner's going to look a lot nicer than
Yeah,
it is now.
much better than dirt.
Thank you so much.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing? Anything?
Just a couple of items to share. The rain report. So last week, over the weekend, we got almost 2-inch rain, which is really, really good.
Wow.
The state,
You're kidding.
yes, we got almost 2 inch in these areas. The state has just announced that the city of Newman's the water conservation goal, which were 24% compared to 2013 water production rate, down to 21 because all the condition has been improved. So as of April 4, 2016, we got 23.99% reduction. So we are on the right track. Sherman Parkway, we recently trimmed the landscaping strips, and we sprayed the entire areas to remove all the weeds. And also we are targeting the major 10 big willow tree in between the Hills Ferry and Balsam. So those major trees creating a lot of problems, maintenance issues, will be removed in a timely manner. The grant, we successfully submitted a planning grant for drinking water state revolving fund up to $500,000 for water project. At the same time, the city is planning to submit the implementation grant throughout the Proposition 1. The state is going to finalize the guideline this spring or early summer, and we are going to submit the application for the construction as well. For example, the water tank project. So this is a really good chance, good opportunity for the city of Newman, because the city allowed the planning grant, construction grant at the same time throughout the Proposition 1. So we will make sure that we are not going to miss any dime or penny. So we are going to maximize the grant money throughout the project. The one last thing for the South County Corridor, city manager mentioned really good point regarding the politics. But however, the presenter today missed one important point. The city of Modesto recently addressed concern associated with the major conflict with their utility plans. So 4D, which has the highest score in the last 3 the alignment, would be out of the PSL. That was recently reflected in the final feasibility study. It means that there's a high chance that only 2 alignment, which is 7A and 12H, is going to the PSL. So at this point, if we remove the 4D, in the process, 12H, which is a southern alignment, has the highest score at the end of the feasibility study. So we are going to wrap up with a really good result. We will keep you updated. That's all I have.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you. Keith, do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, just a couple things. First of all, wanted to say we're going to be participating in the Orostimba Warrior Showcase coming up this week, and what our goal is to work in getting members for a Fire Explorer post. So we're going to try to be better than these guys down at the other end of the table. So if you guys got anyone at age 16, it's really 16 to 21, but 16 to 18, and then once they hit 18, we try to push them into the volunteer firefighter position. So, but 16 to 21 is the actual age. So we'll be down at the high school, and then we'll be trying to recruit there. And then we're doing also, if you guys want to see your local fire engine, we're going to be participating in the block party they're having there over by the Human Resource Center there at Bone Renner. So we'll be over there. You guys can come check out your fire engine and see what we do and how we look in all our gear. So that's it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Casey, anything tonight?
Well, welcome everybody to their new commission spots. I appreciate you guys actively pursuing and trying to be part of the community. It's needed. And that, I have nothing.
Murray?
Same, welcome to the new commissioners. We appreciate your service to the community.
Nick?
Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah, we all feel the same way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We know how, it's great to have volunteers, and give of your time like that means a lot. It means a lot to the city.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is a job.
can
and you
be.
get very little pay.
Great pay.
Anyway, with that, I'll
Benefits are
ask for
terrific.
adjournment.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. Motion adjourned?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 4-1. One absent. We are